Coming to you live from the corner of Mississippi and Fate, Texas, comes the hashtag Brothers of Baseball.
I love baseball.
Donnie and Willie Epting.
I see you two all the time, thick as thieves you are.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to the hashtag Brothers of Baseball here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. The Brothers of Baseball, of course, Willie and Donnie Epting, and we're going to get things going here in just a second, talking about the latest happenings in Major League Baseball. But first up, we want to tell you that this segment of the hashtag Brothers of Baseball is being brought to you by Drain and Plumbing Services. When plumbing issues arise, don't just call a plumber, call the master plumber. Call Mr. Ken Richardson at 214-317-7881. Call him up today for a quick estimate. Once again, we are here with you on the Big Game Christian Sports Network, the hashtag Brothers of Baseball. I am Donnie Epting. Let's introduce my big brother, not only in real life, but in the baseball life. Willie Epting Jr., say hello to the people, my man.
Hey, what's going on, baseball fans out there? My brother Donnie, what's happening, sir?
Ain't nothing to it, man. Just glad to first of all be in the number. Be able to be on the air and discussing the favorite pastime of this great country of ours. And, hey, baseball, I say this, week in and week out, but for real, baseball has been very, very good to me. And I mean all that. Hey, man, you ready to get going with another episode of our wonderful show, the hashtag Brothers of Baseball?
Man, I am ready to bless the people with the words that we speak regarding this very, very great game of ours in this very, very great nation.
Great. All right, folks. Play ball. We start out with some pitching problems. Some notable pitchers are going through the rigors of the long baseball season. Some injury issues that come up for a few guys that we're going to talk about here at the start of the show. The Washington Nationals have had to place Steven Strasburg on the disabled list. The Dodgers have placed Clayton Kershaw on the disabled list. For the Mets, these guys are actually still pitching, but Noah Syndergaard and Steven Matz, both of these guys are battling elbow bone chips. You hear of ice chips, bone chips. That don't sound right.
Man, when you talk about chips, it's gonna hurt unless you're talking about potato chips.
Yeah, and bet you can't eat just one either. I'm talking about potato chips, not bone chips. I don't want to eat a bone chip. Don't want any parts of that. And Willie, down there in your neck of the woods, down in the North Texas area, the Texas Rangers have two guys that are on the DL. Colby Lewis with a lat strain, Derek Holland, that is, with shoulder inflammation, also on the DL. Strasburg, upper back strain, Kershaw, back injury. We didn't mention that in the outset. So, Willie, pick a situation that you want to start with, and hey, man, let's talk about what these teams are up against with these starters having some issues with injuries and trying to pitch here in the long baseball season.
Well, I'm gonna make this a pitching problem sandwich, and I'm gonna wrap it around the two teams that may not have to suffer as much, with the one team in the middle that could very well be faced with some huge problems. And let's just start there with the Mets and Noah Syndergaard and Steven Matz. This is very, very troubling for a team that is having troubles hitting the baseball and putting runs on the board with any sort of consistency. They've got some injury issues, of course, with David Wright. He could be done for his career with that neck injury that he has, as well as Lucas Duda has missed some time. With the trade deadline coming down the pike in about 3 weeks, you may see the Mets, going after another bat, much like they did with Cespedes a couple of years ago, something to jumpstart that lineup like he was able to do. Out in the nation's capital, Steven Strasburg, big news. He's on the DL again, but this time it just feels different for me with him being on the DL this time. It's more like it's a precautionary issue and not anything of a serious note. Strasburg was my quarter pole point Cy Young Award winner. He is 10-0 with a 2.90 ERA, 118 strikeouts, and only 110 innings. I'm sorry, in 10 victories. I'm sorry. So that's 10 strikeouts really per victory. The Nats are still in pretty good shape going into this weekend. They were up by 6 games on the aforementioned Mets. And right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with the Texas Rangers, the news is, it hurts. The Rangers are trudging along, and Ranger Express has played some very, very good baseball, especially within the last 6 weeks of the season. They are coming off of a split with the New York Yankees. They do have Cole Hamels. He is the man. He's 9-1 right now. Yu Darvish is hurt as well. Holland is hurt. So look for some things there with them possibly being able to make a move. But the one thing about the Rangers, Donnie, is that they have so much depth. It's unbelievable. And that is one thing that they have an advantage of, in my opinion, over every team in the American League.
Yeah, I was kind of, doing some number crunching here with Lewis and Holland and Cole Hamels and Martin Perez. The next pitcher on their staff with the highest number of starts is A.J. Griffin with 8. They need to get Yu Darvish back as soon as they can, get him back healthy, because Texas is going to need some arms during these summer months, especially in their home games. Check this out with Kobe Lewis. He's 6-1 this year. On the road, he's 4-0 with a 1.29 ERA. His ERA at what is it now? Globe Life Park, Willie, or American Insurance for car injuries or car wrecks. His ERA is 5.14 at home. So
well, and that has a lot to do with what you said, the heat. But that ballpark is a launching pad anyway, and when the temperature is high like that, when it's 95 to 100 degrees at first pitch, the ball is still going to fly out of the ballpark, or it's going to carry into the gaps and all those other things too. So that may be the reason why they're pushing to get this retractable roof to start construction on that, maybe in 2018, I heard.
Yeah, and that would be good. Back to the Mets with Cespedes. Yeah, he came over last year in 2015, and you had a player who played on the team for 2 months and was being talked about as being a league MVP, which is unheard of in this day and age. I don't know if the Mets will be able to find somebody like that this time around at the trade deadline, but they're going to have to go out and do some looking. They have gotten Travis d'Arnaud back as he was out injured for some time, but you mentioned the injuries to Wright and Duda. They're hoping to get Duda back pretty soon. But as far as the pitching goes, Harvey struggling. Bartolo Colon is 72 years old. Syndergaard.
He ain't that old.
Okay, he's 67. Syndergaard and Matz, they're just trying to tough it out because they want to stay within shouting distance of the Washington Nationals. DeGrom hasn't picked up a victory in quite some time. That's not to say that he's not pitched well. He just hadn't had a winning decision here in quite some time. But with the struggles of Harvey and with Bartolo Colon, you don't know where you're going to find the consistency. The Mets definitely need some help. Let's touch on the Dodgers here real quick. They've got Kenta Maeda. They got Scott Kazmir. They have the rookie Julio Urias. They need to hold it down until Kershaw comes back. Kershaw, the league leader in ERA right now, 1.79. He went 2 months in between losses. 2 full calendar months between losses. Let that sink in real quick. But the Dodgers... go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think what we're going to say about Kershaw, Kershaw, is that, yeah, we've seen this before, but we're just going to wait around and see what happens in October.
In the postseason, exactly. The Dodgers did acquire Bud Norris from the Atlanta Braves, a team that doesn't have nothing, gives up something. Anyway, I'll argue about that another day. So we'll see what happens with the Dodgers. As the Giants, they do have a firm hold of first place in the Western Division. And so the Dodgers are just trying to stay within that wild card range where they can sneak into the playoffs if they don't gain any ground on the San Francisco Giants. All right, Willie, good stuff talking about the pitchers there. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we pressed on?
No, we pretty much hit everything.
All right. So we'll recap what has taken place within the last week. Willie, let's get a series that you concentrated on, and let's hear what happened within the last week from you.
All right, something must have really come over me these last couple of weeks because I just keep giving you your props. And frankly, I'm a little concerned about it because I'm going to talk about the Astros again and how they go out to Disneyland and take on the Angels of Anaheim, of Los Angeles, of Orange County, of Southern California. You get the picture.
And the Pacific Coast, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they go to Los Angeles or they go to Anaheim and they take a 3-game sweep from the Angels out there. Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, they led an offensive charge, man, that just put the Angels on their backside. In that third game of the series, they both combined they both went 6 for 9 with 3 RBIs. George Springer, that dude continues to swing a hot stick. He did hit a 2-run dinger. They did get a win from last year's AL Cy Young Award winner Dallas Keuchel. He improved his record to 5-9. The Astros are suddenly right there, as you said, Donnie. They're sitting 8 games out or 8.5 games out from the Rangers in the West. If they can get Keuchel back on track like he was last year, can continue to get good pitching from McHugh and those guys can continue to swing the bats, watch out.
Yeah, let's talk about Jose Altuve for a quick second. Dude is like all of 5'5", if that. And you want to talk about American League MVP? Yeah. He's making a strong case at this point in the season, of course. He's making a strong case to throw his name into the ring for AL MVP. I like, man, I'm short, so I like to see when the short dudes take over and wreck shop and do big things in this world. Because we're always doubted. We're always the underdog,
And one other quick note about that series, man. I'm starting to really feel bad for Mike Trout. He's playing on a bad Angels team right now. He did hit his 17th home run, I believe it was in that second game of that series. He's continuing to shine for that team, man, but that talent is being wasted right now.
Yeah, I mentioned in a show earlier in the season that I think the Angels need to shake it up. I think Mike Scioscia's time. Look, at some point, things just get old and it's just time to move on. And I think the Angels need to move on from Scioscia, or Scioscia needs to move on from the Angels. I don't see him managing any other club if he isn't the manager of the Angels. But somebody's got to make this call.
Now, Didn't he go from being the catcher for the Dodgers and straight to the Angels as the manager? Seems like he's been there that long.
He hadn't been there that long.
Oh, okay.
This ain't Derek Fisher leaving the bench and going straight to coaching, or Jason Kidd like that happened in the NBA. But Scioscia's been there a long time. So, yeah, might be time to shake some things up out there in Orange County. All right, about 90 seconds left. Let's get the series in that I want to focus in on from the National League. The Chicago Cubs got back on track here just a little bit by getting a sweep against the Cincinnati Reds in Game 1. The Cubs won 11-8. Jake Arrieta wasn't his sharpest, but took his record to 12-2 this season with the win in the Queen City. Lucky for Arrieta, Chris Bryant plays for his team, and Arrieta doesn't have to pitch to Chris Bryant. In that first game, Bryant was 5 for 5 with 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 6 RBIs, 4 runs scored, and a partridge in a pear tree. A little Christmas in July humor. Game 2 went to 15 innings. Thank you. Went to 15 innings. The Cubs were on the winning side of a 7-2 count. Javier Baez's grand slam put the game out of reach following Chris Bryant's go-ahead RBI in that 15th inning. Starter John Lester went 7 2/3, yielding only a run on 3 hits. One of those hits was a Billy Hamilton home run. Ben Zobrist homered, went 2 for 6 with 2 runs scored in that game. In the third and final game, the Cubs picked up a sweep. Anthony Rizzo, 3-run homer for the Cubbies. Baez was 3 for 5 with an RBI. Zobrist and Bryant were both 2 for 4. Combined 3 runs scored. Chicago took out the Brooms at Great America Ballpark. Kyle Hendricks threw a good 6 2/3 innings, struck out 5 and allowed 2 runs on 8 hits. For that series, Chris Bryant was 8 for 14 with 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 6 runs, 7 RBIs, and he walked 2 times. Willie, we got to cut it short here. Getting ready to go into the second segment here on the hashtag Brothers of Baseball. We'll talk more baseball when we come back here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network right after this.
Hi, this is Lisa with Check Into Cash. We give you more money for your title and guarantee the lowest title pawn rate anywhere. Visit checkintocash.com and get a quick estimate on your vehicle. Save more and get more at Check Into Cash. Loyal customers have trusted us for 20 years for extra cash, and you can too. Restrictions apply. Bring proof of lower rate on similar title pawn. Visit checkintocash.com for the store nearest you.
Get on down, check into cash.
Baseball fans, let's step back in the balance box and take our cuts. You are back with us here on the hashtag Brothers of Baseball on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. Here in the second segment, we want to remind you to keep listening for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Dallas Charge in action. Just listen for the Dallas Charge sounder and be caller number 5 for our friends in Espanol. That is numero 5 at 817-984-9513. Your chance to win is coming up soon. And I think I'm going to have to learn the number 5 in French and some other languages too. What you think, Willie?
I would like to agree.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Okay.
Let's move on to segment 2, man. As we like to do in this part of the show, we want to assert our power. This is our show.
Yeah!
What we say goes in this segment. It's our power rankings. Willie has the American League. Donnie has the National League. We go 5-1 or 1-5 or whatever your cup of tea is. And we then tell you those teams that are
just a bit outside.
Then we'll come back and we'll go 1 through 5 with our Major League Baseball rankings. Willie, you're up first with the American League. What do you say, sir?
I have number 5, the Kansas City Royals. Number 4, Toronto Blue Jays. Rolling in at number 3, the Baltimore Orioles. Number 2, the Cleveland Indians. And number 1, your Texas Rangers for, I think, the 3rd straight week.
I believe so, yeah. All right.
And I'm feeling pretty good about it, so don't you say it.
I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to ask you to repeat 5-1 for the people one more time for us, please.
Yes, sir. Kansas City Royals, Toronto Blue Jays, Baltimore Orioles, Cleveland Indians, who, by the way, as coming into this weekend, have won 14th straight, coming off of a 19-inning victory on Friday over the Toronto Blue Jays, and of course, number 1, the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, and it was Canada Day on Friday up there in Toronto, and they basically played 2 baseball games. And it was funny because the Blue Jays had to wind up throwing 2 position players out there as pitchers because they kind of didn't want to bleed, the arms and get everybody pitching, just for one game here. But hey, the Cleveland Indians, they are on fire, man. They are on fire. All right, so in the American League, Willie, who's just a bit outside?
Well, they're just a bit outside, but it ain't by much. Houston Astros, Boston Red Sox, you guys have fallen on hard times as of late, so you've dropped out of my top 5. And still sniffing the outside of the house are the Detroit Tigers.
Okay. Yeah, and Detroit's barely hanging in there, man. But we'll see what happens. Still a lot of baseball left to be played. We haven't quite gotten to the exact halfway point in the season. And we mentioned the halfway point in the season. Stay tuned to us next week because we will then have our mid-season, so to speak, awards that we'll present. So definitely stay tuned for that. All right. Donnie's turn with the National League. Number 5, the New York Metropolitans. They are second in the NL East right now behind the Nats, but they are they're hanging in there and keeping their playoff hopes alive. The defending National League champions got an important win against the Cubs in the first of 4 on Thursday night at Citi Field. Number 4, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Quietly, the LA Dodgers, they're putting together a good season. We mentioned Kershaw's on the DL a little bit earlier. They did struggle just a little bit in Milwaukee, losing a couple of games there. But coming into the weekend's play, 6 games behind the San Francisco Giants in the NL West. The number 3 team I have is the NL East leading Washington Nationals. Daniel Murphy, he's still hitting. And that's all we have to say about that. Number 2, for the first time this season, the Chicago Cubs are not number 1 in my power rankings. And it kind of hurt my heart a little bit to put the Cubs at number 2, but in a long baseball season, this is the part of the schedule where they're struggling. As we mentioned, they did drop a decision at Citi Field on Thursday against the Mets, even though they did get that sweep against Cincinnati. And that was a badly needed sweep. Prior to the weekend games here, 4-6 in their last 10. And number 1, we're going to go with the San Francisco Giants. The National League West leaders, they had something happen which doesn't happen very often. Madison Bumgarner, pretty good hitting pitcher. He decided that he wanted to bat in the American League ballpark, therefore eliminating the DH. And Willie, you know what my pet peeve is about baseball. Madison Bumgarner, thanks for making me look bad.
Yeah, he heard you, but he didn't care.
Right. And they're talking about trying to get this man into the home run derby.
I would like to see that, actually.
Nah, that would be kind of funny. Maybe they should have a separate pitcher's home run derby.
No,
maybe 5 outs or something.
No, they should let him in. If he wants to be in, he should be in, and the fans would love it.
Man, that dude gonna wind up tearing something he didn't even know he had. Hey, you're a pitcher. You don't hit. You don't hit consistently. You bat what, once every 5 days? Come on. All right, let me review over the NL's list one more time. Mets at 5, number 4 Dodgers, Nationals coming up in 3 or in 3rd. The Giants have supplanted the Cubs. Cubs are 2nd. San Francisco Giants, number 1. Just a bit outside for me, I only have one team, the Marlins. They're the only other team in the National League that's above 500 to this point. You got a bunch of mediocre teams hovering right around 500 or just a couple of games under, and then you have some really bad teams like the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves. I got to mention the Braves in there every week, don't I?
Homer.
Yeah, I want to go home. Anyway, so, Willie, let's talk top 5 in the majors.
I'm going to give you the honors again this week, sir.
You want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
All right. I might shock you here. Number 5, I'm going to go with the Washington Nationals. Number 4, the Chicago Cubs. Number 3, San Francisco Giants. Coming in at number 2, the Cleveland Indians, the Kings of the Cuyahoga. And number 1, I'm buying in for right now, the Texas Rangers top my MLB's favorite 5.
So that means you're really renting if you're just buying in for a moment.
Yeah, yeah.
I can dig that. Let me have those again for the people, man.
Sure. Washington Nationals 5, Chicago Cubs 4, San Francisco Giants 3, and then the top 2 in my list are American League teams. Cleveland Indians at 2, Texas Rangers at 1. So, I can't wait to hear yours. I'm thinking there's going to be a little bit of variation in there, but we'll probably be in the same neighborhood, I'm thinking. So what you got?
Number 5, Washington Nationals. Number 4, Cleveland Indians. Number 3, San Francisco Giants. Number 2, Chicago Cubs, and number 1, the Texas Rangers. And you know the Rangers go to Chicago and play the Cubs at Wrigley after the All-Star break.
That would be very interesting. Are they going to start calling that a World Series preview?
I'm going to call it that.
All right, so we expect that to be your series in the look ahead in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so we basically have the same 5. We just switched the Cubs and Indians. I went with the Indians because 14 in a row means a lot to me. Yeah, they've beaten some decent teams. They've beaten the Atlanta Braves.
But you know who that's funny.
Who's not a decent team right now.
But you know who they have beaten? The team that you can put in front of them. So it doesn't matter. All that other stuff doesn't matter. They've won.
Well, you told me.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually talking to the people. You know this too, but I'm talking to the people.
Okay, my bad. My bad, people. All right, so let's get your 5 in again.
Yes, sir. Washington Nationals, Cleveland Indians, San Francisco Giants, Chicago Cubs, Texas Rangers.
All right. So there's a exhibition game, so to speak, coming up pretty soon. It's called the All-Star Game. And it's not an exhibition game per se because, of course, the winner gets home field advantage in the World Series. Well, let me get your quick thoughts then because we got a little time here. Your thoughts about the winner or the winning league in the All-Star Game getting home field. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I don't like it. I don't like it because it's supposed to be an exhibition. It's supposed to be about the fans. And to put that type of weight on it, I guess, for the lack of a better word, for it to mean so much for a game like this, and it could be, the game can be decided by a player who's on the team who probably won't even sniff the postseason, let alone the World Series.
Right.
I think they should go back to leaving it the way that it was, the team with the best record in the entire majors. At one point, they were flip-flopping it. The American League would have it one year, the National League would have it another year. I didn't like that either. You should be rewarded for having the best record in the major leagues by having those pivotal deciding games at your place. Right. Now in baseball, home field advantage probably doesn't mean as much in baseball as it does in the other major sports, but still, you want to give the fans that type of camaraderie and that type of an atmosphere and the opportunity to have that event in their venue because I think it means way more to the fans than it does to the players simply because of the magnitude of it being a deciding game.
I got an idea. How about the league who performs best in interleague games? You take a cumulative total of all the interleague games, and the league who has the highest number of wins against the other gets home field.
I don't like that either.
I mean, but because it's regular season games, meaning that much more.
But you're putting too much of an emphasis and an onus on a team that's probably not going to have anything to do with whether that team is going to be in the World Series or not. So basically, I could have the best record in the major leagues, but because Oakland went to Atlanta and let Atlanta beat them, now me being the best team in the American League, whoever it may be, whether it's the Rangers or whether it's the Blue Jays or whoever, now I can't have home field in the World Series because of two bad teams losing to each other. I don't like that either. That's terrible.
Dang, man. I mean, it's just a suggestion, man.
I'm just shooting holes in your
in my ideas, man. I mean, I was about to call Rob Manfred up as soon as we finish the show and say, Rob.
Nah, I can't have Donnie you doing that, man.
It's Donnie E. I got an idea for you, Robbie Rob. But you shut all that down, man. go cry in a car or something, man, when I leave. Good night.
Credibility, man. You got to have credibility behind something like that. And I can't, as your brother in real life as well as on this show, I can't have you looking like that going to see that guy.
All right, man. I got you.
So how I clean that up, huh?
Yeah. I still don't like it. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the balloting leaders. The selection show is coming up on Tuesday the 5th. We will find out who's starting. We'll also find out some of the reserves and the pitchers that will make up each All-Star team. About a little over 3 minutes left in the segment, so we'll get the American League in here first, for certain. And let's go around the horn. Catcher. It'll be Salvador Perez. 2 million, way more than 2 million votes. More than Matt Wieters of the Orioles. Done deal. Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals will be the American League catcher. Eric Hosmer has about a 500,000 vote lead over Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers at first base. Hosmer also of the Royals. So we'll see if Cabrera can make up any ground as the ballots have started to wind down. Second baseman, it'll be Jose Altuve of the Astros. He's leading Robinson Cano by a lot. And as I mentioned earlier, Jose Altuve, 5'5", screwdriver millenniums. It's all about the Benjamins what. Third baseman, Manny Machado of the Baltimore Orioles has about a 500,000 vote lead over Josh Donaldson of the Blue Jays. So Manny Machado more than likely is going to be the starting third baseman. Shortstop, it'll be Xander Bogaerts of the Boston Red Sox. He has double more votes than Alcides Escobar of the Royals. Yeah, you didn't get that one right, Kansas City fans. Let's get the outfielders out here. Mike Trout, Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts. Two of the three are Red Sox. Number 4 is Lorenzo Cain, and he's only about 95,000 shy of Mookie Betts. And then Trumbo is only 20,000 behind Cain. And if you want to go to 6th, Jose Bautista of the Blue Jays is less than 100,000 from Trumbo. So you've got about 4 guys jockeying for that third and final outfield position in the American League. And, of course, David Ortiz, leader for the Boston Red Sox as the designated hitter. Willie, let's get your thoughts in on the AL leaders to this point.
Jose Altuve, you can't say enough about him. Hitting 357. Didn't you say he was like 4'10"?
Yeah.
Well, he's got some power because he's got 13 home runs, 46 RBIs, 21 stolen bases. How about that? Yeah, that's a good stat there. He hits and he runs. Yeah. Also, somebody that you didn't mention is having a pretty good season, Ian Desmond from the Texas Rangers. I've been giving the Texas Rangers a lot of props, man, these last several weeks, man. I'm getting kind of concerned about myself. But anyway, I got to give credit where credit is due. Okay. Ian Desmond hitting 317. He has 14 homers, 51 RBIs, 14 stolen bases, but he has fanned 81 times. So that's a sign of a young player. One other player of note I want to talk about is Edward Nunez from Minnesota. He will likely be the lone representative from the Twins. I heard somebody today ask if the Twins were going to lose 100 games this year, and the person that was being asked that question said, yes, they probably will. Yeah. I immediately clutched the side of my chest and and started crying, considering how I picked them to make the postseason as a wild card entry this year. But nevertheless, Nunez is having a pretty good season, hitting 319 and leading the leading the Twinkies in RBIs with 32. All right, Willie, let's do this. We're up against the break here. We'll come back. We'll talk the National League All-Star balloting leaders here on the Brothers of Baseball right after this.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
Football
I want to be
stadium.
a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
All right, baseball fans, we welcome you back here to the hashtag Brothers of Baseball here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. Segment 3 and the final segment of the hashtag Brothers of Baseball is being brought to you by PureFlix. Enjoy faith and family movies, TV shows, and educational programs anytime, anywhere for only $7.99 per month. Sign up for your 30-day free trial by going to bgcsports.net or on the BGC Sports app and click on the PureFlix banner and start your free trial today. Willie Epting Jr., say something. And don't say something.
I was going to say something, but since you said something, I'm going to say nothing.
Do I know you or do I know you?
Yeah.
All right. We've been talking about the All-Star game coming up, the balloting leaders. We ran through the American League. This time here, we'll talk about the National League leaders. And, man, there is quite a race at catcher between Yadier Molina and Buster Posey. Only about 5,000 votes separate those two dudes. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the final tabulations shake down here to see who will be the catcher in the National League. At first base, it will be Anthony Rizzo of the Chicago Cubs. He's got a whole lot more votes than Brandon Belt. So many votes I don't even feel like calculating. The second
a whole lot more.
Yeah, a whole lot more. Much, much more. The second baseman will be Ben Zobrist of the Chicago Cubs. More than likely. He's holding a slim lead over Daniel Murphy of the Nationals. But with time running out here, more than likely to be Ben Zobrist wrapping it up. Second baseman for the Chicago Cubs. Also from the Chicago Cubs, third baseman Chris Bryant holds about a 300,000 vote lead as of the final update or the last update that we've gotten over Nolan Arenado of the Colorado Rockies. Arenado's having a pretty good season, man. I believe he's leading the NL in home runs, if I'm not mistaken. Shortstop Addison Russell of the Chicago Cubs. He's got a slim lead over Trevor Story of the Colorado Rockies as well. So we'll see how that works out. Outfield as follows. Dexter Fowler, Bryce Harper, Yoenis Cespedes. Those are your three guys in the lead. Then there's a big drop-off of about 800,000 votes to number 4, who's Jason Hayward of the Cubs. And then Ryan Braun of the Brewers. And then Carlos Gonzalez of the Rockies. Dexter Fowler currently on the disabled list. We'll see if he's back in time and able to get out there and play with his National League mates in the All-Star game. Willie, do you have any thoughts regarding the NL All-Star balloting leaders, sir?
Yeah, that's a battle, man, at second base between Zobrist and Murphy. You know, Murphy was threatening 400 there for the longest, still leading the National League in batting with a .351 batting average. He does have 14 home runs, 53 RBIs. Zobrist checking in with a batting average of .301. He has gone yard 10 times and has 42 RBIs. Actually, Murphy is actually leading the National League in OPS as well at a .982 clip. So that's a heck of a battle right there. You can't go. I think I saw a stat where they were 185,000 votes apart. I don't know if you mentioned that number or not, but it's very, very close.
Yeah, Zobrist also had a 16-game hitting streak earlier this year. Yeah, Willie, you're right. It's about 300 and something thousand votes apart for those two guys. Zobrist has been quite the pickup for the Cubs. I mean, he and Murphy, you're looking at two of the better pickups among National League teams as far as offseason acquisitions go. Both coming over, Zobrist coming over from the world champion Royals, Murphy coming over from the NL champion Mets. So both of those guys played in the World Series, and they're bringing that experience to those teams that they're playing with now.
Yeah, you said something about Nolan Arenado. He is actually leading the National League in home runs with 21, batting .296.
Yeah, he's having a good season out there in Denver. He and Carlos Gonzalez, who's experiencing sort of a renaissance type season. man, just think about how they actually held on to Tulowitzki. What they might be able to do out there in Denver. Of course, pitching is always the issue in the thin air of the Colorado Rockies. But they have played some good ball to this point, sitting in third place in the National League West at this point in the season. Any other thoughts on the NL balloting leaders, Willie?
Mentioned them last week in the show. Paul Goldschmidt from Arizona, still holding very steady, 298 batting average. He has 14 homers, I believe it is, and just over 50 RBIs, 53 RBIs.
And I'm glad you brought up Goldschmidt, because last week you mentioned that Goldschmidt may be the Arizona Diamondbacks representative from the All-Star game, and I mentioned a pitcher. And if they acquired 2 pitchers in the offseason, I was thinking Zach Greinke and said Shelby Miller, but I was wanting to say Zach Greinke last week. Also may get a nod, as he's had a very good season to this point in time. So my apologies to Greinke and Miller for that matter. I'm trying to put him in a game that he's more than likely not going to be in. So that's my fault. You know, baseball players mess up too. Baseball players mess up. Don't egg me on. But I'm also interested to see what happens in the outfield too, between Hayward, Braun, and Gonzalez. If all of those guys happen to make the game, you're looking at a season where Andrew McCutchen may not be an all-star, but his teammate, Starling Marte, in Pittsburgh may be. And that would be something. And there are things that are coming up, man, talking about are the Pirates possibly looking at trading McCutchen? Yeah. That wouldn't be kosher at all.
Well, he won the MVP in, what was that, 2013?
Yeah.
But what has he done? I mean, he doesn't even deserve to be even mentioned with these guys. And I understand that it's fan voting, but the managers or the coaching staff, or however you want to put it, they're responsible for selecting the reserves. So I see Marte being the representative for the Buccos and not McCutchen at all.
Yeah. And Garrett Cole was actually having a decent season too, before he's had to miss some time behind the mound, or at the mound, on the mound for Pittsburgh. So, yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. As we mentioned, the All-Star Selection Show is coming up Tuesday, July the 5th. That will be on the Entertainment, Sports, and Programming Network. Some of you people call that ESPN. So make sure you stay tuned to find out who's going to be making this year's All-Star game in San Diego. That is on Tuesday, July the 12th, the night before the Home Run Derby is going to be on ESPN as well. The All-Star game itself will be on Fox, taking place in San Diego, California.
Yeah, the Home Run Derby featuring Madison Bumgarner.
Stop it.
Okay.
Just stop it. Gosh, can't believe this. All right, Willie. We want to get you in here, man, to kind of take us back. We're coming up on Independence Day, the day which marks where the United States broke away from England. We celebrate the 4th of July. We celebrate our independence from England. And we want you to talk about your favorite July 4th memory that has taken place in Major League Baseball. So just kind of shed some light on the flashback, if you will.
Yeah, speaking of flashback, it will be just that. I'm going to rewind the track back to 2002, the first 4th of July after the 9/11 terrorist attacks on our country, the worst terrorist attack in the history of mankind. And even deeper into that, I'm going to take you right to New York City, where the Cleveland Indians came to town. The Indians were a bad baseball team at the time, but they had a third baseman by the name of Jim Thome. And Thome was chasing a record, or trying to tie or set a record actually for most consecutive games with the home run. He was looking to equal that mark at 7 with the likes of Junior Griffey. That would be Ken Griffey Jr., as well as Donnie Baseball, also known as Don Mattingly, the current manager of the Miami Marlins, as well as another gentleman by the name of Dale Young.
Long, I believe.
Dale Long. But They ran to the Bronx, and instead of getting a hit, he went 0 for 3. And instead of getting a hit, he actually got hit by the Moose. You remember Mike Mussina?
Yeah.
He had some good stuff. Mm-hmm. Shut him down. He went 0 for 3 against the Bronx Bombers that day in Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium for that matter. The Yankees went on to win 103 games that year en route to another AL East title. Jim Thome actually finished that season with 52 home runs, second behind a guy by the name of Alex Rodriguez, who played for the Rangers at that time and finished in last place.
Yeah, the record was eight home runs, or excuse me, 8 games straight with home runs by Long and Mattingly and Griffey. And Thome, stuck at 7.
He was stuck at 7, yes.
Yeah, stuck at 7, yeah. Just want to make sure we got that clarified for the people. Yeah, Thome, man. You know what I liked about Jim Thome back in the day, man? He comes to the plate and he point that bat at you. And you were afraid that if that man hit the ball back to you at the mound, that he might take a body part of yours off. Because the dude just hit the ball that hard whenever he got the bat on the baseball. All right, Willie, we thank you for that July 4th memory. We got about 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the show. Let's go ahead and get moving with our look ahead to an important series coming up in the next week. What do you have for us, man?
I got a couple, but I'm going to stick with the hometown Rangers. They have to go to Boston for a 3-game set. The Red Sox were just in Arlington the previous weekend where the Rangers took 2 of 3. They got to face the 500 quadrillion dollar man in David Price. I believe that will be the second matchup of the series. He is 8-5. His ERA has dropped below 5. It's now at 4.75. So the Red Sox and Rangers, like I said previously in the show, the Red Sox have dropped out of my top 5. The Rangers are still just cruising along in the American League West, but this is a big series for the Red Sox against the American League West leaders.
Yeah, that will be an important series. Some people might say, hey, it's a little bit too early to be talking about home field and all that other stuff, but these are the games that will count, especially for the Rangers. They blew a lead up in the Bronx the other night. Man, they led, I believe it was 7-3 going into the 9th inning. Gave up 6 runs, wound up losing 9-7.
And their bullpen is taxed right now too.
Yeah. So not only are they hurting a little bit in the starting rotation, but yeah, as you mentioned, that bullpen, they're taking some licks down there as well. All right, I'm gonna go with a little interleague action to focus on. The Baltimore Orioles will be heading out to the West Coast to face the Dodgers in LA for 3 games, starting on Monday the 4th through Wednesday the 6th. The Orioles looking like they're going to throw Gallardo on Monday, Chris Tillman, who's 10-2 this year, on Tuesday, and Kevin Gausman in the series finale. The Dodgers look like they'll have Brock Stewart on the mound for Monday's game. This will be his second start of the season. He lost his first start to the Brewers. Kenta Maeda on Tuesday. And then newly acquired Bud Norris will likely make his second start for the team on Wednesday. Baltimore has only played one team from the National League. That's the Padres, and they played them in both Baltimore and San Diego. I don't know how that schedule worked out, but hey. But Baltimore has won 3 of those 4 games. The Dodgers have played the Angels in interleague play. They lost 3 of 4. But among their other NL opponents, they also took 2 of 3 from Toronto. So a good intercoastal matchup between the Dodgers and the Orioles, as both teams are looking for division and wild card ramifications, or looking at division and wild card ramifications in their series. Willie, 60 seconds left. Final thoughts. Go.
Yeah, coming up on the halfway point of the season, man, getting ready to go down the stretch run. About to see who the pretenders and contenders are, and I can't wait to talk about it with you on this show, sir.
All right, and just talk a little college baseball. Congratulations to the Coastal Carolina University Chanticleers from Conway, South Carolina. They won the final 2 games of the college baseball season in the hashtag CWS by taking down the Arizona Wildcats. your national champions, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Before they got to Omaha, they beat LSU in 2 games in Baton Rouge at the new Alex Box, and then went and shocked the world, or the nation for that matter, and they are your national champions. All right, Willie, great stuff as usual, man. Glad to talk to you and can't wait to do it again. Coming up next, the Go Jack Daddy, the Gordon Jackson Show here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. For Willie, I'm Donnie. This has been the Hashtag Brothers of Baseball. Thank you for listening in. God bless you. We love you. And we'll talk to you again next week.